Hey Nathan, have you heard of this really out of the way place? It's just like way out in the outer rim of the world. It's I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows about it. It's called California.
California. No, I don't think that I have. Has there been any significant people who've ever come from there or lived there?
I mean, it's honestly, it's such a forgettable place. I don't think that anything really happens there. I mean, nobody important lives there or anything. It's just, yeah.
Right, gotcha. Sounds a lot like Tatooine, doesn't it?
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that place that you constantly hear people say it's a backwater place that nobody's heard of and it's totally insignificant except for every significant thing that's happened in the last two generations in this universe has happened there. The two most significant Jedi have come from there. Then in the Mandalorian they go there. Yeah. I think California's kind of like that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Ignore the Bell. My name is Nathan.
And I'm Tyler.
And today we are talking about The Mandalorian episode 5,
Yep.
The
Uh,
Gunslinger.
yes.
Right. So, yeah, and if you did not catch that, so this episode takes place on Tatooine, and there's no way, if you watch Star Wars, that you don't feel the same way that we do about this, which is stop saying that it's a backwater place if every significant character is coming from there and it's constantly returning to Tatooine. Um,
Yeah.
you
The perfect place to hide out, except that everybody knows it's the perfect place to hide out.
Right. Everybody knows it's the perfect place to hide out, except for the fact that you've got bounty hunters crawling all over Tatooine. Like we've seen this
Yep.
before, with like Jabba the Hutt, and where he's got all of his gangsters there. Right. We've
Hmm.
seen that, and it's like you've got not only one but two Jedi of the last two generations, the two most powerful Jedi, essentially, have
Yeah.
come from Tatooine. Like, okay, sure, that seems like a good place to hide.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's so stupid. I'm
It's
so sick of them visiting
Me
Tatooine.
too. It's frustrating because if this really is supposed to be an entire galaxy and there's just so many planets, then why do we continue to go back to just a handful of them?
Yeah, the more we see Tatooine, the more angry I get.
Right. Yeah. Is that going to be in the Rise of Skywalker? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like where
I
you've
feel like it has to be because this is the end of the saga,
That's
but
right, with Rey and Kylo Ren when he's flying the ship at her, because it
right.
looks kind of like Tatooine.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's a
wouldn't be
desert
surprised
planet,
at all.
so yeah. All right, so yeah, we're going to be talking about episode 5, The Gunslinger. Now, we do have a sponsor for today's episode, and you're doing the ad read this week.
Yes, yeah. So our sponsor for this week is 80s hairdos, which have been distracting Star Wars fans since 2019. Very, very obvious, stands out really, really well. Doesn't it all fit in Star Wars?
Right. That woman shows up on screen, the one who ends up taking care of Baby Yoda, the one who has the hanger and, is the mechanic. And it's just like immediately you're just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it feels so odd and out of place.
I
I don't
didn't realize
understand
that the 1980s were a long time ago, like, you know,
it. Right.
in a faraway place. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Is that how far removed we are from the 80s? Because her hairdo is more 80s than Return of the Jedi from 1983. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that film did a pretty good job of kind of like all of the Star Wars films have been, not identifiable in terms of a contemporary trend in fashion.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, Princess Leia, like her hairstyles went, just to really new and interesting places. And then
Right.
same with like Queen Amidala. Um, and then now we're just, oh yeah, it's the 80s.
It's the 80s because why not? Um, yeah, remember the 80s, and it's like, well, not in Star Wars because 80s in Star Wars didn't look like the 1980s, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to get into the discussion. I hope you enjoy.
Oh man, I wish this discussion could go on forever.
Ignore the bell. We're gonna keep going, people.
All right, episode 5 of The Mandalorian is titled The Gunslinger. By the way, I'm not even sure who the gunslinger in this is even supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's the up and comer.
He's terrible. He's no gunslinger. I thought it was maybe supposed to be Mando at the end because he kind of, does the flash bomb, whatever, and then runs over to the side and then, with blaster. But I'm like, okay, I guess he's the gunslinger in this, or unless it's the woman that they're going after. But she's not a
sniper rifle.
Yeah, exactly. A sniper rifle is not a gunslinger. Trying to spin that thing around. That seems a bit unwieldy. Trying to put a sniper rifle in a holster. Ready, draw. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would accept that duel. Okay, I get a pistol and you have to use a sniper rifle, but it's got to be holstered.
Yeah. I think right off the bat, I think that we both just have to say, this was not a good episode.
No, it was not a good episode. It really wasn't. It stunk. It was no good. I mean, I honestly didn't have as much of an issue with it as the last one, but that doesn't mean that it was good.
Right.
It was just less offensive.
Right. I mean, virtually nothing happens. Nothing interesting happens.
No, it's an entirely empty episode. So I would say that this is far and away the most forgettable episode of the season so far.
Yeah.
I watched it yesterday and I've already forgotten more of it than I have of the other ones.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean there's so little to grasp onto in this. It is sad.
Yeah, but it's not good visual storytelling like what you got in episode 1 or episode 2 where there's not a lot of dialogue, but there's all kinds of stuff happening.
Yes. Yeah, okay, I really want to talk about the writer and director of this episode.
Go.
This is the first episode that was not written by Jon Favreau, or at least not credited being written by Jon Favreau. Instead, it was written by Dave Filoni, who who wrote or created, I don't really know, most of the one of the animated series, at least one of them, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, once you hear that, I think that a lot of this episode starts to make a lot more sense.
It does. Okay.
It feels very much like an animated story. And this episode does also give us our first, as far as I can tell, our first time actually hearing a character's name.
Okay. Yeah. And who is that we hear their name?
It was the up-and-comer, and I don't remember his name, but...
Yeah, the trust fund tough guy.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't have enough letters. I didn't have enough U's for my light box, so I just called him the trust fund killer. But yeah, we're going to talk about him. But I can't see him being anything other than that. He seems to be this privileged, spoiled kid who's just like, oh, it's not about the money, it's about the honor. It's like, what complete psychopath goes into bounty hunting as a profession for the honor to try to join the guild and not for the money? That doesn't make any sense. And he's not even good at it.
No, he's terrible. He really seems like he's a trust fund kid where he just wants to, oh yeah, I can do this. This seems like it would be fun. And, it doesn't matter how much it costs or whatever. I'll just start doing it and whatever.
Right. He seems like the kind of guy who's he's grown up really wealthy in a gated community. Then he's like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to become a UFC champion. And they're like, good luck to you. And then he just gets destroyed in his first match. That, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what this guy was thinking. Because you typically have to have a pretty tough background to even consider that kind of work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but he does say his name in the most awkward way imaginable. names, blah, blah, blah. I'm this,
Oh,
that, and
right, right.
I'm like, no, you were doing so well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
again, once we realized that this episode was not written by Jon Favreau and was
uh,
written by Dave Filoni, then I think it makes so much more sense.
yeah. So, all right, let's try to go through this chronologically because I want to talk about this opening sequence.
For
Um,
sure.
this is definitely going to get the award for the worst opening sequence we've had so far on The Mandalorian.
Absolutely. I would nominate it for a Razzie if I knew how.
Yeah, I agree. It's so bad.
It's
It's the
so bad.
it's
Like
the
I
worst
don't
part of the episode.
Oh, absolutely. I literally like was laughing because of how bad it was when I
Right.
first watched it. I was just like,
Right.
what just happened?
Everything about it. Everything about it.
We know nothing about the other person that's coming after him.
Nope.
It's just, kind of a bit of a space fight. Mando's being chased, and then immediately, well, it takes him a while before he, I guess, shuts off his engines
Yeah,
to
he
slip
hits
behind the
he
other.
hits the brakes in
Right.
space because he didn't
Yeah.
just slow down. He hit the brakes in space, and the whole thing jerks forward. Like everything on the ship jerks forward. I'm like, I've never quite
Right.
seen the physics of that before in Star Wars. I've never seen some. It was something I don't know from like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Where it's just like
Yes.
rockets gonna like hit the
Yes.
windshield or something.
Yes. Yeah. And okay. So he shoots at the other ship.
Uh-huh.
It blows up, and we get the
Ah!
worst, the worst, most cartoonish explosion imaginable. Just
And
why?
they had the guy screaming too. That to me was the worst part of it. It wasn't just the
Oh,
explosion. It's that they also
yeah.
go ah.
And it echoes. It echoes through like during the entire explosion.
Right,
And then
right.
oh, it's so cartoonish. It does not fit this series at all. It doesn't fit, honestly, doesn't fit live action Star Wars at all. And I mean, I know that, we've seen some other ships explode in the past, but when we do, like in A New Hope, for example, then we're inside the cockpit and we see the explosion come from behind them,
Right,
and they
right,
go, Prah! And that's it. And then we
right.
stop seeing them. This was just like, nope, we're gonna cut their face as they're blowing up, and just
Yeah.
it I don't know what was going on with the colors and everything. It wasn't like
Right.
a normal explosion. It was
Oh,
just let's throw some colors across the
that's
screen.
right. That's right. He was carrying some kind of I don't know what, right? Some kind of
Yeah.
chemicals or something. The other thing too is you get like I mean, okay, all of that's bad, but the dialogue though, the dialogue was great, right? Because you do have this. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold,
Right.
and then it's like Mando hits the brakes, and then the guy like hits him on the freeway, like and it
Yeah.
like whatever, and then he goes past him, and then he patoo, and then and then it's that's my line. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What? This is a very 1980s episode because that's definitely like you know what I mean. That's like from
Yes.
the Simpsons, like a McBain line.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Rainier
no,
Falls
I mean,
Castle. That's my
we
line.
we know that that's Mando's line. We don't need Mando to say it. He would not say it.
And it's like I wasn't gonna kill him, but then he stole my line. So that
Right.
like why did he need to add that part? I don't understand.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh,
So I was already like, okay, this is not getting off to a great start. Then he heads toward the planet because clearly his ship is a little damaged. Um, and it is the Mos Eisley spaceport that responds, and I go, no!
right, right. Um,
I literally had a moment, like I had an audible reaction to it. I was like, what is this? I said it out loud to myself because I just could not believe that we were going back to Tatooine.
Do they think that we
Again.
just love Tatooine and this is like fan service in some way? Where they're just like, we don't really want to go there, but fans love it when we go to Tatooine. Like,
Ugh.
I've never heard anybody say, my favorite part of Star Wars is Tatooine, or my favorite planet, or I hope that they go back to Tatooine. I've never heard anybody say anything like that.
Yeah, it could literally have been any planet. The planet did
Any
not
planet in
matter
the galaxy.
at all.
Yeah.
It could have been any kind of planet. It didn't have to be a desert planet either. Like,
No. No.
ah. Oh,
Yeah.
I was frustrated by it. So
Me too.
he lands, and then we get this this mechanic who comes out,
Yeah.
with her 1980s hairstyle.
That's right.
Very distracting,
Sorry,
straight
can
out of Ghostbusters or something. I don't.
Yeah. It was straight out of Ghostbusters. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah, so we get this mechanic straight out of the 1980s, and she comes out. She does not fit here at all. And I mean this quite literally because I don't know how much you know about the production of The Mandalorian, but one of the things that they were really trying to do, my understanding, is that they were using projection screens during the filming. So
Okay.
they would like create all the environments and everything and then put up these, instead of using green screens, then they would actually have the projections in real time
Mm.
uh, on the backgrounds. Um, and I think that this is the first episode where I really noticed it, where it really stood out to me, where they felt disjointed from the background, where it really felt
Mm.
like they were standing in front of something.
Yeah.
And then we get a lot more of that when the stupid droids come out.
Yeah.
Those CGI droids are awful. I don't know how they made the final cut. Like, I don't know how this is the finished product.
Right.
It's so bad. Uh, they're so bad.
Yeah. And what? When was the last time we saw these? Are they from episode one? Like not of the
Yes.
Mandalorian, but of like the movies.
Yes. Yeah. I think that that's the last we saw of them. But yeah, because they are the ones where little orphan Annie knows, and then Jar Jar does, and it, shrinks up. One of them got sucked into a pod racer engine.
Right.
All that stuff that we don't want to think about.
Right. Well, when I saw them, then all that I could think when I saw her and then I saw those droids, then all that I could think was this feels like a kid's show. This is the first
Yes.
episode. Like the last one, the last one was a good like Xena warrior princess is the way I would describe it, where it's not so much a kid's show, but it's maybe I don't know. I don't even know who the demographics were for like Hercules and Xena, but like not children necessarily.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. And again, I think Dave Filoni, like I don't want to say anything bad about him. I'm sure that he does a great job with the animated series. I mean, people love them, but they are cartoons, and that is a completely different animal than a live action series, and this feels like a cartoon.
Yeah, it does. It does feel cartoonish, and there is a difference between an animated series and a cartoon.
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's adult animated series
right.
that are really sophisticated and in terms of like characters and theme and everything else. Uh, but there's a but there is a distinction between that and a cartoon. Because a
Right.
cartoon it's not that adults can't watch it and can't get some enjoyment out of watching cartoons, but they're targeted towards children in terms of storyline, characters, dialogue, the
Yeah.
visuals. It's targeted towards children, and that's what this one felt like. Like the only reason that, like, I mean, the whole opening sequence felt cartoonish to me,
Absolutely.
and then those droids, and it's like, oh, look at them. They like shrink up, like you know what I mean. And I'm like, when he scares them, And I'm like, that feels cartoonish. And then her, like, with taking care of Baby Yoda and the exposition that we get, because we have a
Yeah.
whole lot of her just saying all of this stuff to Baby Yoda, but she's really saying it to the audience as if we don't already know what she's thinking.
Yeah.
All of that felt like, oh, well, we want to make sure that kids know exactly what's going on, so we better explain it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And my goodness, Baby Yoda plays no role in this episode whatsoever.
No.
Um, it feels like, oh, right. Yeah. I forgot that there was that Baby Yoda
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
I guess he'll just be hanging out with the mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just gonna be that. But there wasn't even anything to that. It was just her who she doesn't seem to be a mother. Like, she doesn't seem
No.
particularly maternal. So it's not like she immediately knows exactly what to do and she's really bonding with the baby.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
she's
It's
just
just
like, oh, well, we need to take care of you. And then she kind of gives him a little bit of, chastisement over leaving the baby. You have to take care of him. And it's like, okay, like,
yeah. And she also says, oh, get him something to eat, something with bones. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah,
what?
because she doesn't even know. She has no idea what it is. She doesn't know how to take care of him. That's why I'm saying that she's not particularly maternal.
Yeah. Something with bones, just it threw me off. I feel like she was trying to say, some kind of meat, but it just came across as like, make sure that there are bones in it. Bones will definitely be good for this baby to eat. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just presumed that it was some kind of a broth or a stew.
Okay. I don't know. It just seemed really off to me, but
it made,
yeah.
I guess it made a bit more sense to me because I'm thinking Tatooine is, it's not a wealthy planet, and
Right.
that if you want to have a good source of protein, then even just boiling bones,
Right.
legitimately, that's how you make broth.
Yeah.
And you can get a fair bit, like having bone broth is really good for you, and so it's one of those things where, but that's not like, because it's one thing to go out and get a steak, it's another thing to say I'm just going to have some broth. Right?
Right.
It's like broth is not the same cost as steak. That's was my presumption of why she said it, but it still was strange. It just seems strange that she is trying to chastise him, but she doesn't know how to take care of the baby either.
Yeah. Yeah. Very odd. So anyway, then we get Mando going to the cantina.
Mm-hmm.
And he meets with this Han Solo type.
Yes, I know. That was exactly it. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. It's A New Hope.
Yep. I think he was sitting in the exact same spot that Han sat in as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
at least the same booth area.
Right. Yeah. He was definitely on the same side of the booth.
Okay.
But yeah, nobody in the cantina. Not sure why that is. Maybe they couldn't afford extras. That's probably what it was.
Could be. I know we don't have the band. I wanted to have the
Yeah.
band.
You go back to Tatooine and you don't have the band? Come on!
Right. I want to know what they've been working on, what kind of like new numbers they've developed over the the years, right? They've got to have some.
Just that same song.
Right. But yeah, I wanted to hear some like, what's your new hit? Because we love the original. That's right. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, no, we were denied anything jazzy like that.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that this is the first time that we do get a character's name actually spoken on screen. And again, this is the first episode not written by Jon Favreau, so I think that might have something to do with it. And I don't even remember the character's name.
Got it here. Calacan? Calasan?
Okay.
Calacan?
I don't know. Okay. Cal. I'm just going to call him Cal.
Toro Calacan. Toro, Toro, and then Calacan, Calican.
Okay. Yeah, he says his name in the most just worst possible way. He says, name's Toro Calican or
Yeah.
whatever. um, I'm a bounty hunter. I got a nice bounty that, maybe you could help me out with.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my goodness, this is
There was a
terrible.
yeah, there's a little bit of you can see that he's acting, but that's the character who's acting, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
he's trying to bluff his way into seeming like he is actually an experienced bounty hunter who just happens to be generous with his money and just needs a little bit of extra help because why not? And then it's like, and it comes out immediately that he doesn't know what he's doing. This is his first time doing it. He's not even part of the guild. And so
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of that of the character is trying to act, and but then the actor who's playing the character is trying to make it very obvious that I'm acting here. But
Yeah.
it comes across not great.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, compared to, Han Solo, where, the first time that we get him, then he's like, you'll never find a faster ship than this, and he's bragging about it and all that. Like, he's playing it all up.
Right.
He's
Right.
playing them. But it doesn't feel that way when you're watching it. It feels
Yeah.
genuine when he's saying all of that. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
But is that because and I think that there's a little bit of tension here within this episode because on the one hand that I'm thinking that this Calican guy, he's not smooth the way Han Solo is. But then the tension is because you kind of set him up as being like not bumbling, but just naive and in over his head, and he doesn't even know. He's too naive to even really understand how in over his head he really is. But then by the end of it, then he just shoots the prisoner that he's captured. He just murders her, and then seems to have like no qualms about this. It's
right.
So then it's like, oh, he's a cold-blooded killer then? Because before this, then he seemed nervous and scared to go and get after her. And he's like, oh, I don't have Beskar steel. Like, oh no, like this is frightening. Oh, I don't want to get killed or injured. And then it's like, ooh, bam, I'm a cold-blooded killer. And now I'm going to go after the Mandalorian. It's like, where are you getting this like cold-blooded killer instinct from? And now where do you get the confidence to think that you're going to take out the Mandalorian?
Right. Yeah, I know. Oh man, it is.
So I don't get it. I'm saying there's this tension. It's like, wait, who is he? Because I don't understand how it's that hard to have a consistent character within a single episode of like 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I absolutely agree. It is.
He's not changing from like over the course of 3 or 4 seasons or 7 or 8 seasons. It's within an episode he's changing.
Yeah. 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 No, I know. It is such a strange. I don't know. I think that your your light box there saying trust fund killer explains a little bit of it.
That's what it is. He's a cold-blooded killer, but he's also a trust fund kid. Somehow he's both of those things.
Yeah.
He's obviously had a privileged, sheltered life. He didn't grow up in like on the tough streets, and yet at the same time, he's a cold-blooded killer. I'm like, so is he a psychopath? What are you trying to say here?
Right? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I was like, maybe he's just psychopathic, because like, who can? Yeah, just I don't know, out of the blue, just be like, I'm just gonna kill you and then walk away. Like, what? Why is he okay with this?
I feel like that's what they were trying to go for, but that wasn't clear until then. Then you're just like, oh, so he's a psychopath, but he sure didn't seem like a psychopath because a psychopath typically would not be emoting as much as he is earlier in the episode, where he seems so scared. Like the way at least psychopathy is typically portrayed in television and in movies is that they're affectless. They don't emote. They're cold. They're disconnected from their feelings. They're alienated from other people. They pretend to be normal, but really there's nothing under there. It's all an act. But for him, he seems to be genuinely scared going into battle. He seems to genuinely, like he's kind of like, because remember, like when Mando is sleeping and he's like, again, this is just such a kid show moment where
absolutely,
he's like kind of like dancing in front of, ooh, let me draw my blaster on him. And
see, that's why he's the gunslinger.
right, he does draw. So I guess the gunslinger is like a sarcastic title for this. It's like the gunslinger.
Oh man, yeah. All right, so whatever, they end up teaming up. Mando knows that this guy is not at all well versed in the bounty hunter community, partly because of the bounty that he's going after, but I think we can infer that it is because you didn't even recognize that I'm the one that everybody is chasing.
Right.
So so they go off on the speeder bikes, and I don't know, long desert sequence. Awkward interaction with the Tusken Raiders is completely unnecessary.
This is not the first time that this show has done it, because you had this in episode 1 where he's going after whatever. What were the creatures there that they just all of a sudden snuck up on him?
You mean the Jawas?
Yeah, I guess it was the Jawas. Was it? I can't remember. But in episode 1, remember he's looking in his binoculars, and then it's way off.
Yeah, no, wait, that was just like the beast, I think.
Okay, yeah, it's the beast.
The one that he ends up riding eventually.
Yeah. What was that? The mud. The mud
no,
rhino.
It wasn't even that one. It was I don't know, some kind of horse-like lizard thing.
Right. But that was so anyway, he's looking through the binoculars. Oh wow, it's so far away, and then it's like boom, it's right there. And then this episode did the same thing, but it was such a cartoonish moment where he's like, oh yeah, we've got the Tusken Raiders out there and blah 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 blah, and the guy's like looking off in the distance. He's like, oh, we have to, why can't we just tell them we're gonna go through the territory or whatever? And it's like, ask them yourself. And then enter stage
they're just
left.
Right there.
And they were right there. Like
they're just standing. They're not walking up. They walked all the way over there. Somehow they managed to walk that much distance from completely out of view to standing right next to them while the guy was looking through the binoculars.
Yeah.
And then they just stop, and they're just standing there waiting for him to stop looking through the binoculars.
I'll
let you guys have your little interaction first. Oh, good, right. You referenced me. Hi, I'm Tusken.
Right. I challenge anyone in the world. I will put up my entire life savings. I will put up my pension if you can sneak up on me in the desert. Try.
Right.
Like, it is impossible to sneak up on somebody in the desert in broad daylight. Daylight.
Yeah.
You're not this isn't some urban environment where there's buildings all over and they can kind of sneak wherever, or they can come up from some kind of an underground or a sewer system. This isn't in the forest. You know what I mean? In the jungle. This isn't in the mountains. This is just
there was no indication that they were hiding under the sand or anything. Right. I don't.
Right.
I don't even think that they had footprints. They're just there.
Yeah.
You summoned me.
I know. It was so. I'm like, wait, what am I watching? This is so dumb. But yeah, it definitely seemed like they summoned them, like they're Candyman or Bloody Mary or something. Oh no, you said Tusken Raiders 3 times while looking through binoculars. Now they're going to appear. That's how it felt.
Yep.
And then I honestly, I was like, okay, Tusken Raiders are kind of cool. And then they started doing their weird sign language thing and watching them up close with their costumes. And I was just like, oh, this sucks. I didn't like seeing them that close, and they weren't, because you've only seen them really going doing that. But then you see them and they're like doing their little like, like steal third base sign.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was very odd. I did not know that that's how people communicated with the Tusken Raiders. They are able to make sounds,
Right.
and yet they are completely silent in this.
And they just become mimes who are giving
Yeah.
base running signals. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some people might have an issue with Mando knowing how to communicate with them, but I don't have an issue with that. I just have the problem with the way that he communicates.
Me too. Me too. Of all the things I'm going to have a problem with in this episode, that's not one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Fine. Why not? It's like the least of my concerns right now.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So then they see the dewback with the other bounty hunter, as we find out after
Right.
being dragged by it. Yeah. So I don't know.
That was a good ruse. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That whoever she is, this mercenary that they're going after, presumably she knew that she was being tracked, so then she orchestrated that in some way.
Yeah.
I'm presuming she's like, okay, then I'm going to get them to go and investigate, thinking that that's maybe me, so I'm going to, like, this guy that I killed, I'm going to have, unless it was just a coincidence. But I
Right.
like to think, because of where she was set up, that she knew that she's being tracked, or she suspected it, so she kind of camped out and was just hoping that somebody would come along that she could then take out to know that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was my reading of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, because she's got the sniper rifle aimed right in that direction and everything.
I'm just saying that if she didn't know that she's being tracked, then how long is she going to be camped out like that?
Right.
You see my point? And it's like, isn't this thing just going to be moving across the terrain? So is she having to, like, regroup, and she's just like, why am I doing this? No one's following me. It's like 2 days of this, of just like,
Yeah.
So presumably
I think that
she knew they were coming.
Yeah, no, I think that it is a really, really brilliant move on her part. I wanted to get more of her character, and I guess we probably will, because we have that post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to that. But
Okay.
So for now, I don't know. They're being shot at. They say, okay, we'll wait till night. Mando has this great idea of sending out the flash things, which will disrupt the scope.
Yeah.
Yes, he has very limited flash things, because you definitely should be sending them off more frequently, considering you're being shot at multiple times through that.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I'm grateful for the fact that it's not just like a Bugs Bunny thing of just whatever he needs to have. He's got unlimited resources, as long as he just opens up his, pants and just like reaches in and just there we go. Whatever you need. You need a piano? Boom, there's a piano. You need an anvil? There's an anvil. Right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do hear you that he definitely should have been setting them off more, but he probably didn't have enough.
Yeah. So we got him saying earlier that, it got me in the Beskar, it held up from this distance. Now he is super close, and it still holds up. Great.
Yep.
Seemingly the distance actually did not make a difference at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand the physics of it. I'm like, this is a cartoon. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're trying to, like, and everybody who's serious about understanding genre fiction, and specifically science fiction, and in part because I know this as being a writer and being fairly involved in the publishing world, if you suggest to a true science fiction writer that Star Wars is science fiction, then they will say, no. It's space opera, right? And they're like, because it's not, and I don't really like that distinction myself, but I don't have an issue with the term space opera, but to say that it's not science fiction, it to me is not, I don't appreciate that. It's just, it's not hard science fiction. So the
Yeah.
physics are never really the concern with Star Wars. It's never supposed to be, let's perfectly explain how the physics work in all of these things.
Yeah, I would say it's more science fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess my point is, I think Star Wars gets into trouble when it tries to be hard sci-fi, when it
Yeah.
tries to start accounting for the physics of things. Because as long as it doesn't bring it up, and then it's just got clearly established rules where, because basically for anybody who's unfamiliar with the distinction, hard science fiction has to actually be accurate with our understanding of physics. And so
Right.
so if you're going to introduce some kind of piece of technology in there, then you have to provide some kind of accounting for how this fits with our theory of physics. But then if you just don't address it at all, but you just say, we're not going to give you the explanation, but you're going to see how it works and the rules that it has to obey, even if it doesn't fit with our current understanding of physics, then you can do that. It's just, it's not hard science fiction anymore. It's more fantasy, right? Where it's like magic. How did that work? Well, it's magic, but it's got clearly defined rules. It's just, it doesn't fit within our understanding of physics. But Star Wars gets into trouble with this. Like when you had with The Last Jedi, then, you know, having this, all of a sudden, we're going to start talking about fuel in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And then it's like, well, we're running out of fuel, and, you know, it's a fuel issue. And it's like, wait a second, you've never, ever, ever addressed fuel. And now that we're starting to get that within Star Wars, it's infuriating to me, because then you're questioning everything else in the series up until this point. You're saying, wait, then how did this work if you have fuel limitations?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm saying that's why I get, like, with this, then it's like, it would have been fine if he just didn't say it was from such a distance. That's why my Beskar held up.
Yes.
But instead, he says it, so then you're like, oh, so a blaster is losing energy depending on the distance that it's traveling? Where is that energy dissipating to? It's an energy, like, ball, like a ball of energy, but it's not throwing off little bits of energy. So
it's not like a bullet where, you know, like air resistance or whatever is slowing it down.
Yeah.
It's just
That's what I'm saying is, I'm just like, stop before you hurt yourself. Don't bring up physics. Don't say anything about physics, and we'll be fine, because there's going to be the suspension of disbelief. But if you start bringing up stupid things like that, then we're going to go, okay, so exactly at what distance then can that kind of sniper blaster penetrate Beskar? Tell me, what is it, 50 yards? Is it 25 yards? Like, at what point is he safe? At what point is he not safe? Like, what? Yeah. So I'm just like, it's such, it's not just like bad writing. I mean, I think it's kind of cartoonish writing. It's to explain to kids, how can he get shot, but he's okay? Oh, just give a throwaway line. But I'm like, that's not a throwaway line. That thing's got so many implications for storytelling in the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't understand, because you get into all of these other canons like that they have, you know, like in The Last Jedi with like having, oh, we've got this giant cannon that shoots a laser thing to the blaster doors and all of that. And it's like, that's why they have to get it close enough, right? Because these things lose energy. I'm like, okay, I guess that kind of explains stuff. But what about the one that they had in, you know, like, whatever, the planet or the Star Killer
base?
Yeah. I'm like, how did they account for the physics in that then? They can just kill anything from anywhere?
Yeah.
Why'd they have to have that stupid line in there?
Yeah, no, I know. It is it's really bad. So anyway, the sniper is, for some reason, watching Mando, who's on the ground. Oh, she's like, I guess, trying to get a shot under his helmet. That's what it seems like. And she doesn't care at all about the other person that was coming to get her.
Nope.
So, you know, the other guy sneaks up behind her and everything.
It's like she just knew somehow, without really being able to know, that one of them is competent and the other one is incompetent as warriors. because I don't think that she really saw the other guy terribly well. So how does she know that he's not wearing some kind of armor or that he's not some kind of formidable opponent?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, he sneaks up on her. They have a little bit of a fight. Right?
Yeah.
Mando comes over, um, tells her to put on the handcuffs.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Then we get Mando going to get the dewback since they now only have one speeder bike. Um, and while he's gone, we get this definitely awesome conversation between the two other characters.
Yeah. Now, I just have a question. Can you imagine possibly trying to travel by dewback? Like,
Oh
when
my
you
goodness.
like that the fact that anybody's traveling on these things in these desert environments makes no sense to me when they have hovercrafts and speeder bikes and ships.
Yeah,
And I don't understand, I've never understood in this kind of situation why Mando doesn't just say, all right, I'm going to get on the speeder bike, I'm going to go get my ship, and then come back here.
right. Yeah,
Like, I understand the ship was still having repairs done, but
yeah,
to get any ship, like just traveling all the way from there, like to go and get that back, and then to get on it, and then to travel all the way back to Mos Eisley. Like that, there's no way that's faster than I'm going to
yep.
take a speeder bike and go there, get on a ship, bring the ship back, and then we're done. Like
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. I don't know. The dewback, the dewbacks. I think were they appeared in episode 4, but like in the original version of it, but George Lucas added a bunch more of them
mm,
in the special edition
mm.
version of it, including having stormtroopers riding them as they're looking for the droids in the desert. And that kind of makes sense because, yeah, you're going slow paced at that point and you're able to get a good look at everything. I still don't really see
Just
why, but
stay in first gear on your speeder bike.
right. Yeah. Or, yeah. Anyway. But now it's just like, yeah, this is totally another usual form of transportation. Why?
I know. I don't understand. It just seems like the kind of thing of I mean, if you go out to any kind of desert environment, like I challenge somebody to go out to like Death Valley and then
This
just
is the
say,
second time you've challenged somebody to do
I know,
something in a desert.
because this is stupid. Like
Yes.
and I'm trying to prove a point here that go out to Death Valley really at any time of the year, but let's say, I don't know, in mid-July, and then get on like a donkey or something, and then just say, now I want you to get on this thing, and I want you to travel all day, and then it's like, well, the person's going to be dead before the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even if they've got a significant amount of water, that would like you can't survive in that kind of environment going that slowly, taking that much time. I mean, unless you're like really, really, really well prepared in a variety of ways. But
And especially not if you're covered in Beskar.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like being covered in Beskar, because I'm thinking like, I mean, I guess if you've got really light fabrics to kind of protect you from the sun, and if you have enough water, and I don't know, maybe. But this whole idea of it's not life threatening to get on one of these dinosaur monsters and travel for like days
Yeah.
across a desert environment with two freaking suns.
Right.
Two of them. Just like, this is
Yeah.
stupid. But okay.
Yep. All right. So we do get this whole conversation, and it's interesting that Toro, was that his name?
Yeah.
It's interesting that he decides to shoot um, the bounty.
Yeah.
Um, uh, it's I don't think that it makes a lot of sense. I don't think that he really thought it through very well. Um, Clearly, he would still make a lot of money from, from
Yeah.
bringing in this bounty. Why can't he do both? wait for a good opportunity to get Mando rather than, making his position clearly known by taking off with the speeder bike and then
Yeah.
waiting for Mando to catch up to him using the
Yeah.
dewback.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't react as though he had not thought this through. He looked
Right.
like he had done this 1,000 times before. Oh,
Yeah.
killing a human being means nothing to me. Oh, I'm so dark and twisted. And I'm like, but not. Like, but yeah, no, then he goes back there, and I guess, I don't know. He didn't want, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this would make sense. But
Yeah. I I don't know why he wouldn't be able to bring in two bounties and, thus get even higher status that he would be
yeah,
like.
because even if he killed her, I don't know why he couldn't just like throw her across the speeder bike.
Yeah. Because the whole thing was that they needed one more seat.
Yeah,
Not that they needed, two, just
right.
one.
Yeah,
You can fit two people on the speeder bike.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know why he didn't do that. And then Mando would then be suspicious of like, oh, why did he take off? I don't know, but let me go find him. Then it's like, then he meets him at the hangar in Mos
Yeah.
Eisley. Like, and then he can kind of jump him then and just say, whatever, she's trying to get away. And then I still have no idea how he's going to take out Mando in his head.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
like that, if I were to like, if I were in his position and I'm planning this, I'd be like, and then I need to kill this guy who is clearly an experienced, warrior, and he's got Beskar steel, and he's going to be suspicious of me, like, and I have
Yep.
no experience. Like, I
Yep.
don't know how you, in your head, you can get to the point of, no, I can see a scenario in which this works. Like, I don't know what scenario he had in his head. Like, did he think Mando was just gonna like have a heart attack or something? And then it's just like, hey, I did it.
Maybe he'll punch him in the face and somehow it'll actually damage him.
Right, right, exactly.
Ding!
That's right.
Yeah!
Wow! Oh my!
My
Just like
hand
in
is
the,
fine.
yeah, and her hand in episode 4 is perfectly fine, punching him in the Beskar steel helmet, and she's fine. Oh,
Oh, goodness.
um,
All right.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, and then of course, Mando is he's got Baby Yoda, and they're gonna travel, and blah 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 blah. Now, what were you saying about the end credit scene?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
don't really know what's going on there, but it was the assassin person, the sniper, right? Then
Ye-
somebody is coming over toward
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't get why that scene is there. The
I,
only thing that I can think is that somehow she's still alive
oh, I wasn't reading it that way.
and
I
like
just
getting, I don't know.
okay, it could be. It could be because it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
But I thought that, to me it looked like it was supposed to tell us as an audience there's another bounty hunter hot on his trails.
Mm.
And so they are, looking, and they're like, oh, okay, so this is a bounty, and now she's been killed. And so then you're like, ooh, if that is what it's supposed to be telling us, that there's another bounty hunter coming after him, it's like, yeah, we know. Like,
Yeah.
they're
That's the thing.
everywhere.
This episode started out with a bounty hunter
Right, right.
fighting him in space. I
Yeah.
don't. Uh...
This entire episode, and I said it about episode 4, I said you could just take episode 4 and then just remove it from the first season and then show somebody the first season, and they would have no idea that you cut out an episode, because you don't get anything in that to further the plot or characters or themes. There's nothing new that's being introduced. And then in this one, I'm shocked that we get another episode like this, because this one did the same thing. This was nothing.
Absolutely.
This was a completely empty episode. And it's frustrating to know that they've only got an 8-episode season. It's, as far as I understand, is it not the most expensive television production of all time?
I haven't looked into it, but
But
yeah, it's at
it's
least close.
yeah, and I'm like, for only 8 episodes, and 2 out of 8 so far, so you're talking about 25% are throwaway episodes that are completely empty, and they're
Yeah.
not furthering the plot. And it's not just that I think everything has to further the plot necessarily, but they're not doing anything with character development. There's not anything with themes. So I don't, because basically all that it is okay, you got some bounty hunter coming after him in space, you get this ridiculous, like, that's my line, that whole thing, and then it's like, my ship needs repairs. Oh, I don't like droids, don't let them work on it. Okay, we already know that he doesn't like droids, we already know why. So then she's like, oh, you have a little baby Yoda, I don't know that you're the best person to be taking care of him. It's like, yeah, we already know that we've already had from episode 4, that you've had people, these maternal figures who are like, and the whole village, who know how to take care of baby Yoda. They're like, I don't know if you're necessarily the best person for this. And he's like, I know that I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. And
Right.
so you had another kind of example of this, but that didn't deepen anything. We already knew this. Then he needs money to pay for the ship repairs, joins this dude, goes after this person, and then ultimately has to kill this dude who, double crosses him, and then gets on his ship to leave because we're pretty sure that there's another bounty hunter who's hot on his trails. And we're like, okay, so it's another episode then that it is an episode. It is episodic, right?
Absolutely.
It's just, you don't need...
And it's frustrating because they do call them chapters and not episodes. And
Yeah, it's not a chapter.
No, these are, yeah, they're so terrible.
Yes,
honestly.
thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to double check, looking toward the future. But I should mention that Chapter 1 was also directed by Dave Filoni, written by Jon Favreau, but directed by Dave
Yeah,
Filoni.
I thought
Which
he
means
had
that
a directing credit.
Yeah, which means that he's doing this binocular thing twice.
Right. Right.
So anyway, just wanted to bring that up. The next episode, episode 6, is written again not by Jon Favreau. I know. But episodes 7 and 8 are written by Jon Favreau.
Yeah, I'd be shocked.
But he did also write episode 4.
I know, I was gonna say, but he also wrote episode 4, so I don't know how, devoted I am to him writing these episodes either.
Yeah, I know. I think that hopefully they'll be better, but it's certainly not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, and we've now got, like I say, solidly, even though we still have 3 episodes to go, solidly 25% of season 1,
Yeah.
Has got really crappy episodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I guess my question to you, and this is kind of where I think things stand at this point, that everybody should be kind of asking this question, is what on earth is this show? Because is it the show that we got in episodes 1 to 3, or is it what we've got in episodes 4 and 5?
Yeah, I know. I am questioning that, and I don't have an answer. It is so inconsistent.
Yeah.
It just, it doesn't feel like one cohesive thing.
No. I got to tell you though that I really believe that it's going to be more of episodes 4 and 5, because I guess my question to you would be, when has Disney ever done anything for adults? And what I mean by that is, okay, I want you, because a lot of people have kind of compared this in terms of the scale of the production, the size of the cast, and how ambitious this show is supposed to be. So they've compared it to Game of Thrones. I mean, they're not even in the same ballpark.
No.
They're not even close to being in the same ballpark. HBO knows how to make good dramas for adults who are intelligent and appreciate sophisticated and complex storytelling with complicated characters, right?
Yeah.
Disney, what have they done that compares in any way to that? I'm not saying they're making bad stuff, but I'm saying they make family-friendly stuff that's appealing to all ages, every generation, from really young kids to elderly people. Everybody can kind of find something in there to have fun with. But HBO, for instance, with good television writing, just says this is not for kids. We're not even trying to make this appealing to children or to early teens. It's just, no, they're just not part of this. And I was hoping that The Mandalorian was going to be that, and I did not really believe it was going to happen, but then I felt like I got kind of teased with episodes 1 and 2 and even episode 3, that I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be a little bit more sophisticated than I thought it was going to be. And then you get episodes 4 and 5, then I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I like that you used that word sophisticated, because that really is what I want out of it as well. Like, it doesn't need to, be blood, sex, and gore and whatever. No.
That's not what I mean at all.
Yeah, no. It is just, we want it to be effective storytelling, affective storytelling, efficient storytelling, visual storytelling.
Visual storytelling would be great.
Just, I don't know, one cohesive story being told in multiple parts, rather than getting this episodic thing that feels like it was, I don't know.
Then, and I want to, let me just get a little agitated with this for a moment. So there's a booktuber I really like, and one of the things that he had said, because he was going through a whole bunch of Stephen King books, and at one point, because he was reading them in pretty short order, then he was seeing all of this repetition of themes and characters and all of this stuff. And at one point, he just got so frustrated with one of the books that he was reading and that he was talking about, and he just said that if you don't have something new to say, then why the hell did you write another book? And that's how I feel about this series right now, but especially episodes 4 and 5. If you don't have a big, ambitious story to tell, then why are you making this show? If you can't come up with an 8-episode story arc, 8 episodes, it's not like a 24 episode season. And they're not hour long. They're not 44, 46-minute episodes. They're not like a full 60-minute on premium cable show. This is half the length. So effectively, this is like 4 episodes of Game of Thrones, right? Yeah. That it's like, you have nothing here to say. Like, so why? And this is me just being just a little bit agitated, but I'm like, take that money that you've spent on this. You could have made 4 or 5 really good shows with original storytellers who all had stuff to actually say, but instead it just feels like we have to milk the Star Wars franchise for all it's worth and just slap Star Wars on there and just say, we're going to go to Tatooine, and you're going to see droids, and there's going to be, stormtroopers, and people will eat it up. And then it's just like, but if there's no story here, then what are you doing? Like, and that's why people get mad at Disney. They feel like they do things not for especially in the last couple decades, as Disney has become more and more of this, monolith within, the film world, with like taking over. With acquiring Marvel and Star Wars and all of that, as like they're conglomerating more and more, then people have gotten more and more frustrated, because it seems like it's becoming more apparent than ever that there's not the intention to really amplify original storytellers, and instead it's, okay, how can we make money in the most exploitive way possible?
Yes. Yeah.
And Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree wholeheartedly. I uh, it really frustrates me. They are already season two is already I think like maybe not being produced, but it's already being written at the very
Yeah.
least. Like it's already been greenlit, which totally makes sense. But like I just don't get it. You don't have anything interesting to say.
Right.
So like just don't I I'm not saying that, I want a 5 episode season, but if that's all the story that you have, that's all the story that you have.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I mean, and a lot of people have commented on this. I mean, BBC does a really good job of that historically. I don't know whether they're continuing to do this, but historically, BBC has done a great job of having miniseries. Like
Right. Yeah.
you'll see that all the time where it's just like, oh yeah, there's just 4 episodes to this thing, and that is it. That's all there is to the entire series. 4 episodes and it's done. And it's like it's longer than a movie, but it's not a full TV series of what we would consider to be a full TV series. It's a mini series, and that's it. And
Yeah.
there's been American miniseries before, but I'm just
I think
saying that
Netflix calls them limited series. I
yeah,
like that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
a limited series, yeah, or a limited event series is another good
Yeah.
term for it.
If a series actually describes itself that way, I am going to be more interested in checking it
Me
out
too.
because it doesn't feel like something that is going to take years for me to get the full story.
And not
It's
only, yeah, go ahead.
and it's just, yeah, I can sit down, see the entire story and, feel satisfied in that. And that's all the story that they had to tell.
Right.
Like they didn't feel like they needed to stretch it out,
That's the
or
thing.
fill space. No, it's just whatever you have, just let me see that.
That's 100% it. And I'm the same way. When I see that it's a limited event series, then I look at that and I say, "Oh, good." And the reason why I'm
Yeah.
excited about that is because I'm like, there's going to be no filler episodes. There's going to be
Right.
no garbage episodes. There's not going to be these throwaway ones where it's just like, well, we had to fill a slot in mid-November on television, and so then we just did this episode that was really crappy by
Yeah.
this, writer who,
And
whatever.
and that's why I think that it's interesting because like I that is the greatest thing about streaming
Yes.
television
Yes.
is that you are able to do that you're able to say like, no, this is, the whole story that I have. But I think, and you've kind of touched on this before, like streaming services, or networks or whatever you want to call them,
Mhm.
they don't know how to do this because they are telling them ahead of time, you have this many episodes for this season. And so then the writers are having to write that many episodes.
Yep.
This is the story that I have. Or the network, or whatever you want to call them, the production company, saying like, okay, yeah, you can have a second season, just don't be overly long about it, right?
Yep.
Something like that. Then just like that's all that it needs to be said. But I get that, from a business perspective,
That is
that
it.
it's something that has not been established yet, and it's not proven or whatever, that you can't even, there is no framework for them to use to say, yes, this is how we will do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And as ambitious and innovative as streaming services like Netflix have been, then I still think that there's more innovation that they could employ when it comes to
Mhm.
storytelling. And that seems to be a throwback to old network television, the business model of old network television, which is
Yeah.
we really all that television is doing, and I know that you know this, but I'm saying it for anybody who is not familiar with this. The entire purpose of television is to sell advertising spots. That's the whole business model. They don't care about the content. The only reason why they care about content is, okay, if you can provide something that's entertaining enough that people will sit there and watch it, they'll tune into your channel and watch that thing. Then if you're getting however many viewers, however many millions of viewers, you then turn to all of these companies and then you say, I've got 3.2 million people on average who are watching my show. So a 30-second ad spot is going to cost you however much to run an ad. And you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on that. You're going to get a lot of ears. Even if they walk out of the room, they're still going to be playing on television. So they're still going to be hearing the ad because they don't want to mute it because they want to know when the show comes back on. So they're still going to hear your stuff. So that's the whole business model of television, is to produce as much content that's entertaining enough that will keep people watching in order to advertise to them. Yeah. But then streaming services brilliantly just dispensed with this, like Netflix, that just said people hate the commercials. If they just pay a flat fee and they don't have any commercials in there at all, then they can just have the content without having those commercial breaks. So you go, oh, okay, so this is totally different. And then they're like, well, people want to binge watch. What if we just release everything all at once? It's like, cool, that does something new to storytelling, because you can't have that same repetition because people are going to notice it so much compared to something being weekly on television. But they still have got this idea that there's supposed to be this round number for seasons in terms of number of episodes. And I think that's where I get frustrated, where I'm going, why is it that you're just arbitrarily saying, oh, a good drama should have 12 episodes a season or 13 episodes a season, or, you know, if we're not sure about the show, then we'll give them 8 episodes in a season. You know what I mean? Like, why not allow storytellers amplify their voices and raise them up to say, you tell us how many episodes you have. Yep. And then we'll negotiate from there. But instead, I think Netflix is saying, we'll give you an 8-episode run. We'll give you a 12-episode run. And then it's up to the storytellers and the showrunners to then fill all of that content. And I want to know what you think about this, but I suspect the reason why Netflix is doing that is, even though they don't have the same ad revenue model as network television, I think the idea, though, is they're measuring it the way YouTube measures it, which is just, you know, number of views and duration. And they want people to watch as much as possible. And I think that they're measuring that, which I personally think, if that is how they're measuring it, I think that's not the best way to do it, because they're not getting more money the longer I watch.
Right. Yeah.
They're not. YouTube is, because YouTube is selling ad space, just like network television.
Yep.
But Netflix is doing a subscriber model. So I won't be mad at Netflix if I end up having a 6-episode season of my show instead of an 8-episode season, if those 6 episodes are better than the totality of 8 episodes. I wouldn't be mad. I'd still pay my fee.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is definitely how they look at it. And I do think that it is that they need to give the writers more control, or the creators, the storyteller. And that, you know, if they're really concerned about budget, then, you know, just say, like, you have a limit of this budget per episode, but however many episodes you do, that's up to you. That, I think, would be the better way to go.
Great way of doing it. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that they're so stuck in the old school that they don't really know what they're doing. And Disney Plus is following just the exact same pattern, where they're like, well, we only created 8 episodes, so let's space it out by doing, you know, one every week. And that's fine. I think that works really well, because then, you know, we have time to chew on each episode.
Yeah.
But if some of the episodes are just...
if there's nothing to chew on, then you really catch how bad this show is. That's what I'm saying. That it's like Game of Thrones works because there's so much in each episode where people were able to... they wanted a full week to talk about what happened.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But that's not what we're getting with The Mandalorian. We're now getting just completely empty, really meaningless episodes.
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes without saying, but like I wouldn't be upset if the series had started out this way. But you lied to me.
I agree. I'm right
You
there with
started
you.
out with 3 episodes that were telling me that this is going to be something that we could actually digest for a full week
Yeah,
and feel good.
that's
And
right.
now you're just like, nah, never mind.
That's right.
Come
Yeah.
on.
No, you're so right. You're so right. It's sort of like I imagine it, somebody goes on a few dates with somebody and they're like, "Wow, he's such a great storyteller." And then like by date 4, it's just like the same stories come out and you're like, "Wait a minute, did you only have like 4 stories to tell? They were really good, but you have nothing else?" Like you're just like, "You lied to me. I thought you were entertaining and you're just you're boring." That's
Yep.
exactly how this is if it started out that way, my expectations would have they would have been what I suspected before I started watching.
Yeah.
This is what I thought we were going to get. This is at least my fear, and I thought that it was more likely that we would get this than what we saw with episodes 1 to 3. But you're right that we were duped. We
Yep.
were duped with episodes 1 to 3, and I don't see them coming back to that.
Yeah. No, I know. It's hard to imagine that. Uh,
Episodes 7 and 8 are the only, like, that's the only reason why I'm hoping, because I said it
yeah.
before, that a lot of shows, like, if you're looking at a lot of shows, they'll start out up here, then they'll have that dip, that mid-season dip, and then they'll come back.
Yeah.
And I think we're either seeing the mid-season dip, or which is ridiculous in an 8-episode season of only 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
That, as if there's a dip already. It's not like, oh yeah, episodes like 14, 15, and 16 in a 24-episode season are not so great. It's like
Yeah.
episode 4 was bad.
Yeah.
But it could maybe come back if we return to the big story arc, and
Yeah.
I don't know. But even if that happens, I feel like season 2 is just going to repeat what season 1 did. I think it
Yeah,
might
I
start
agree.
out pretty strong, and then we're going to get,
Especially with them, already being written and
yeah,
at the very least. And yeah, they don't have the data, the reactions of people to say, oh, okay, maybe we should not go along this route. But
and the
yeah.
only reactions that they're relying on at this point, I really do believe that I don't think that they care about really, really devoted, obsessed. That's how most Star Wars fans feel, is that Disney and Lucasfilm no longer care about them. They really care about casual fans and merchandise. And I think all that Disney cares about right now is Baby Yoda is adorable, and it's all anyone can talk about. And that's what they're seeing. I don't think they're seeing people complaining about episode 4 being Xena Warrior Princess. I think
Right.
they're seeing people going, I want a Baby Yoda so, so, so badly.
Yes. And yeah, sadly, I feel like they'll look at episode 5 and the reactions that it gets, and they'll be like, "Oh, we didn't have enough Baby Yoda in that
Yes,
episode."
that would be the one thing I think they would get from that episode as far as
Yeah.
reactions. And I know that we should wrap this up, but I just wanted to say, I heard that, and it's kind of staggering that as good as Disney is at making money, boy, does it seem like they have made a colossal like error in judgment with the merchandise, because I've heard that you cannot purchase a Baby Yoda until April.
Yeah, I didn't hear about when you would be able to purchase it, but I knew that it wasn't available yet, and I know
It's
that's
December. It's December, Disney. You released the show in late November, and it is now December. I don't know if Disney's aware of this, but December seems to be a really good month for retail sales. Something about a big holiday
Yup.
towards the end of the month. I mean, I'm like, how many millions and millions and millions? I don't even know what the estimate would be, but it's a lot of money that they are leaving on the table, because are people going to be that desperate to buy them in April, or what about next year around this time? Because this could have been the toy of
Oh,
the year.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
how did they not, like, were they just worried about spoilers, that if they
I think
manufactured,
so,
it's so
but
dumb. Even
yeah.
if that
Because
even if
it happens in the first episode.
right, that's the thing. It's in the first episode, and even if like there was a leak that, oh, I heard there's a Baby Yoda. Well, okay. If anything, I think more people would watch because they'd be like, "There's a
Right.
Baby Yoda." I
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah,
keeping
it's
that.
really strange because supposedly they also didn't send out screeners for it because, or at least not as early as they normally would, because they didn't want anything to be spoiled. And it's like, well, reviewers aren't going to spoil it anyway, but like, really,
I
you're
don't even
that
know how that
concerned?
spoils anything. It's like
Yeah,
who's watching episode 1 and then just goes, "Oh, I know how it ends." Oh, how does it end? They find a Baby Yoda. Oh, okay. That's not the main character dying. That's
right.
not even a spoiler. That's not anything. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's really, really stupid. Um, So anyway, we should wrap this up. Just wanted to say that this episode was so bad that Luke didn't even want to be on it.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, it is the fault. Well, he is busy with school right now, but at the same time, then Disney,
Mhm.
Disney Plus, was not working for him, which is great. So he has not actually been able to watch the episode.
Yeah.
So talk about Disney failures.
Yeah. The biggest Star Wars fan of the three of us can't even
Right.
watch it because of
Yeah.
technical issues on Disney's part. And we're like, what, 5 weeks into this thing now, and they're still having problems like this. So, as great as they are at making money, sometimes I go, how are they making money?
Yeah. 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 So yes, I did feel like we did need to
Yes.
address
Yeah.
that.
No, you're right. Should have. Should have. But he'll be on for the next episode, and we'll get him to give his thoughts on episode 5. If he comes on, though, and says that he thinks it's the greatest episode ever, we're going to have a serious chat.
Oh yeah. We might have to have our own episode just on that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment below and like, share, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Ignore the bell, people. We're gonna keep going. We're still ignoring it. Don't worry. I don't know what that. I think that's the fire drill. All right. We're gonna go home. Yeah. All right. We're done.